You have been at your company for 4 years. You are good at your job. Your manager knows it. Your last two performance reviews said exceptional in the language that companies use when they mean it. You received a 4% raise last year. You said thank you. You meant it. 4% of your current salary is $3,040 a year. Before tax. After tax, it is approximately $1,978. That is $165 a month. Your rent went up $120 last month. Your health insurance premium increased $44. Your real wage this year moved approximately $1 a month forward. You did exceptional work. You received a maintenance payment. You said thank you, and you meant it. Because the system that produced this outcome is invisible from inside it, you cannot see that the 4% is not a reward. It is a retention mechanism designed to keep you in the building while the market continues to move. The market is moving, and you are standing still inside a salary that has not kept pace with it for 4 years. You have not noticed because the raises kept coming. You did not notice because the raises kept coming. That is the trap. The raises are real enough to feel like progress and small enough to ensure you never catch up. You are worth more than your salary says, not because you are exceptional, though you are, because the market has continued pricing your skills upward, while your employer has been pricing them at the cost of keeping you from leaving. Those are different numbers. The gap between them is the trap. Here's how the trap works. Your employer knows approximately what you cost to replace. They know the recruiting fees, the onboarding time, the productivity loss during transition. That total replacement cost is typically 50 to 200% of the role's annual salary. They know this number. They use it to calculate how much they need to pay you to prevent you from leaving. That number is not your market value. It is the minimum required to retain you. It is, almost by definition, less than what someone else would pay to acquire you. The raise you receive each year is calibrated to that minimum, not to your market value, not to the value you produce, to the minimum required to keep you in the building. You are not being cheated, you are being managed. The distinction matters because one requires anger and the other requires information. The number that most people do not know, the average salary increase from changing jobs, is 14.8%. The average annual raise inside a company, 3 to 4%. Over 5 years, staying produces raises of approximately 15 to 20% compounded. Moving produces a one-time increase of 14.8% on top of whatever raises you receive at the new company. Over 10 years at the same company, your salary has grown from $70,000 to approximately $94,000 at 4% annually. Over 10 years with two job changes, your salary has grown from $70,000 to approximately $108,000, assuming one move at year 3 and one at year 7, each producing a 14.8% increase. The difference, $14,000 a year by year 10. Compounding forward for the remaining 25 years of your career, that gap is not $14,000. It is the difference between two retirement outcomes that do not resemble each other. This is the first rule. Your salary is not a reflection of your value. It is a reflection of your negotiating position at the time of your last offer and the minimum required to retain you since. Those two things are related to your value, but they are not your value. You have heard that leaving feels disloyal. Let us examine that feeling precisely. Loyalty is a virtue in relationships where it is reciprocated. You are loyal to people who would be loyal to you. You stay in arrangements that work for both parties. You honor commitments. Your employer is not loyal to you in the sense that word implies mutuality. Your employer has a fiduciary responsibility to shareholders that supersedes their relationship with any individual employee. If the business requires restructuring, the relationship ends. If the strategy changes, the role may be eliminated. These are not failures of character. They are the operating logic of the business. You know this. You have watched it happen to colleagues. You have seen the announcement email. You have received the notification that your position has been impacted as part of a restructuring that has nothing to do with your performance. Loyalty that runs in one direction is not loyalty, it is exposure. The second rule, Loyalty is an exchange. You owe your employer your best work, your honest effort, and professional notice when you leave. You do not owe them the salary gap that accumulates every year you do not price yourself against the market. That gap is not a debt you are paying. It is a tax you are volunteering. You were told not to talk about your salary. Most employment agreements include informal discouragement of salary discussions among colleagues. The culture around this is so strong that most people enforce it on themselves. They do not know what their colleagues make. They do not know what the market pays. They know what they agreed to when they were hired and what their employer has given them since. This information asymmetry is not accidental. It benefits the employer directly. An employee who does not know the market rate cannot negotiate against it. An employee who does not know what their colleagues make cannot identify when they are being underpriced relative to their peers. Candace at the desk across from you may make $9,200 more than you for the same work. You do not know. She does not know you do not know. Nobody told either of you. That is not a coincidence. In the United States, the National Labor Relations Act protects your right to discuss your salary with colleagues. The informal norm against it is not legally enforceable for most employees. It persists because it is culturally uncomfortable and because it benefits the party with the information advantage to maintain it. Research your market rate. Talk to people in your field. Use salary databases. Know the number. The number exists. You simply have not been given it. Here's how to exit the trap without burning anything down. The first step is knowing your number. Go to Glassdoor, levels.fyi, LinkedIn salary, pay scale. Search your role, your industry, your geography. Find the range, find the median, find where your current salary sits within that range. If you are in the bottom third, the market has moved without you. If you are at or above the median, you have been priced correctly. Most people who do this exercise for the first time discover they are below the median. The second step is creating leverage. Leverage in salary negotiation means having somewhere else to go. A competing offer is the most powerful negotiating tool that exists in employment. It is not a threat. It is information. It tells your current employer the precise minimum required to retain you, based on the actual market rather than their estimate of it. Most employers would rather pay you the market rate than absorb the cost of replacing you, but you have to be willing to take the other offer if they do not move. Leverage that you will never use is not leverage. It is a bluff, and bluffs in salary negotiation are detected and priced accordingly. The third step is making the ask. This is the part most people skip. They get the competing offer, they feel the leverage, they do not use it because the conversation feels like confrontation. It is not confrontation, it is information exchange. You have data about what your skills cost in the current market. Your employer has data about what your replacement would cost. You are exchanging those data points in a structured conversation. That is not aggressive. That is how the market is supposed to work. Say the number. Your palms will be wet. Say it anyway. The third rule. The ask is not the hard part. The preparation is the hard part. The ask is 30 seconds. The preparation takes 4 weeks. Here is the 4-week preparation. Week 1. Research. Salary databases, peer conversations, recruiter calls. Find your number. Write it down. Not a range, a number. Week 2. Build the case. Document your contributions in the language of business outcomes, not tasks, outcomes. Revenue generated, cost saved, process improved, problem solved. The ask needs a foundation. The foundation is the value you have delivered. Week 3. Find the leverage. Apply for 2 or 3 roles you would genuinely consider, not as a threat. As information gathering. You need to know what the market will actually offer you, not what you think it will offer you. An actual offer is worth 10 times the estimated offer in a negotiation. Week 4. Make the ask. Schedule time with your manager. Frame it as a compensation discussion, not a performance review. Come with your documented contributions and your market data. State your number, explain the basis for it, then stop talking. The most common mistake in salary negotiation is filling the silence after the number with concessions. You said $82,000. They did not immediately say yes. You say, well, I would also consider $78,000. Do not do this. The silence after the number is not rejection. It is processing. Let them process. The next words should come from them. What happens if they say no? If your employer cannot or will not move your compensation to market rate, you now have clear information about your situation. You are being retained below your market value, and the employer has confirmed they intend to continue doing so. This is not a character judgment, it is a structural reality. Some companies have budget constraints. Some have internal equity issues that make moving one person's salary politically complicated. Some simply do not prioritize external competitiveness in their compensation philosophy. None of that is your problem to solve for them. If the market pays 14.8% more for your skills and your employer declines to match it, you have a straightforward financial decision. The emotional texture of that decision, the manager you respect, the colleagues who have become friends, the commute that finally works, the coffee order you learned to get right, is real and it is worth something. Price it honestly. Include it in the calculation. But include the 14.8% too. Because compounded forward over the rest of your career, the emotional cost of leaving is paid once. The salary gap is paid every 2 weeks for as long as you stay. The fourth rule: you do not owe anyone your underpricing. You owe your employer your best work, your integrity, your professional notice, and a clean transition when you leave. You do not owe them the compound interest on the gap between what they pay you and what the market would pay you. That gap belongs to you. Collect it. And somewhere right now, there is a person sitting in a performance review, receiving a 4% raise and feeling grateful, saying thank you and meaning it. Walking back to their desk with the number, running the math on the drive home, and finding that the raise absorbed by rent and insurance and cost of living leaves approximately zero. They are not ungrateful. They are not naive. They are inside a system that was designed to feel like progress while producing stasis. The raises are real. The stasis is also real. Both things are true. The machine does not explain itself. The salary does not announce that it is a retention mechanism rather than a market rate. The performance review does not include the line, "Here is what someone else would pay you for this exact work." The information exists, it is just not handed to you. The gap between what you are paid and what you are worth is not fixed. It is not a feature of your skills or your value or your contributions. It is a feature of your information and your willingness to act on it. The salary trap is real. The exit is available. The question is whether you run the math.